Next topic is content handler. What is content handler? Content handler is responsible for marshalling and unmarshalling message body, meaning the contents in the message body of a request and response to and from Java object. Okay. On the client side, it will send the data in the form of a message body, and that message body has to be converted into Java object when it's received on the server side. And when the server side sends back the data, the Java object then has to be converted into message body of the response. Okay. So that content handler is the one that handles the marshalling, unmarshalling of the data. Between the message body and the Java object. JAX provides a built-in content handlers for basic types, such as a string, character array, and byte array. Okay. JAX also provides a built-in content handler for XML. This content handler is built on the top of JAX-B. As you're gonna see later on, in order to use this content handler based on JAX-B, domain classes that has to be annotated with JAX-B annotations. Okay, we'll see example of that later on. Now, content handler for JSON is provided by third-party library. The popular libraries are either Jackson or Moxie. So either one is okay. We are using Jackson library, as you are going to see, as I showed you in the pom.xml file. So if you take a look at the pom.xml file, we are using Jackson library to convert Java object to JSON and vice versa. Okay. Custom content handler can be plugged in. So if you have some kind of custom data that need to be marshaled and unmarshaled in customized fashion, then you can certainly create one and plug that in. Okay, so content type selection by the client. So the content negotiation schemes. Basically, client can specify the content type that it wants to receive, and we have already played around with the accept header. But changing accept header on the client side is a little bit cumbersome, right? So there should be a bit more easier way for the client to actually get the data in the format it wants. And those two options are in fact using URL extension and the request parameters, without actually changing accept header. So let's see these schemes. URL extension schemes is basically clients say, I want to get the detailed information of customer 1 in the form of XML. Then the client would send the URL in the form of 1.xml. If it wants to receive the data in the form of JSON, then it will say .json. Okay. So in the server-side code, basically we need to capture that extension, and based on an extension, we are going to return the data in the format that is requested. Okay. So this is an example. So here we have a path, and this is a variable, resource ID variable, and then XML. If that's the case, we are going to actually build the format in the form of XML. So this is the way we can create a response, and we specify the type in XML. Here, if user sent JSON, then we're going to actually use JSON type to build the response. Okay. Again, we're going to actually learn how to build the response in another presentation, but this is simple way for creating, in this case, the response. And when you're calling type method, providing media type application XML, basically it will build the response in XML. In this case, it will build in the form of JSON. Okay, so example 2, you can also actually capture the type as an argument, as a variable, and then here we have a single method. In the single method, we check whether type is in fact, so we can actually capture as a parameter param, path param, And if it is XML, we set it as XML response. If it's JSON, we set it as a JSON. So in this case, we are using a single method to handle both requests. In previous example, we have two different methods. One is for handling XML, the other one is handling JSON. Either option is fine. It's up to you which scheme that you are going to use. Okay. The other option is you can actually use request parameters. So instead of the dot extension, the client can specify question mark and format is XML and format is JSON. So in that case, we need to capture this information in the form of query param. So we are using query param. The name of the request param key is a format, and the data that we want to capture is captured as a format here, and depending on whether format is XML or JSON, it will return JSON or XML data. Okay, so let's do exercise 6, 7, 8, and 9, and let's see. Content negotiation. So here we are going to do exercise 6. So this is a case that client can send its desired response format in the form of the accept header. So you can run the accept header server and client application. So here I'm going to run accept header server and run on server and finish, start the server, and then we are going to run client application. Yeah, we have seen examples of this already. Okay, so nothing really new. Alright, so I'm gonna just, so build and run cn client header client. So it's actually receiving XML. Okay, so let's just set the run the client application, run as Java application, and then it should actually display in the form of XML. Output from server is XML, and JSON is actually returning JSON. But if it's trying to actually access in the form of in the format that is not the supported by the server, if you take a look at the code, here we have initially it says asking for XML, then it's asking for JSON, and then here I'm just actually using some kind of bogus the type, and it should actually return 4.6 error. Okay, alright, so I need to actually add this result. So that is the server-side code, client code. So I actually added a few more lines of code here. I need to actually add this one to the lab documentation. For your exercise, add a method that handles a request that has application JSON in accept header, add code in the client accordingly. All right? Yeah, so that should be pretty straightforward. I'll give you about the 5 to 10 minutes, about 7 minutes. How about that? Okay, so